have Casey Shum alongside me out here today. Casey, welcome to the broadcast. It's good to have you here. I'm excited for some new test labs out here today.
Thanks, Nathan. Yeah, thanks for having me. This ought to be fun and exciting. New course, too. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're on the new course. You did race this course yesterday. What did you think of the course yesterday?
This is like nothing else we have in Zwift, actually, to race on. It's not a real tough hill, but there's some climbing to it. Everything you do from a climbing perspective, up or down, ascending or descending, kind of rolls on this course. So it's not a constant climb. You're dips and dives everywhere you go through the new.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Casey does come from Team Experimental, for those of you who aren't familiar with Casey Shum, one of the most experienced racers out on Zwift. How many races have you raced on Zwift, just to give people an idea of why you might be involved with the test labs out here today?
I think on Zwift Power, I'm up getting close to 600, and Zwift Power hasn't been there since the beginning. So yeah, we're up.
Yeah, so 600 races. Casey, we're just getting a little bit of cutout, just so you know, if the push to talk is maybe a little bit early. You could keep it open if you need to, just as a heads up. But we are getting off to go here. And it does look like we do have an Emelon here coming out of out of Canada here. We'll try and get a few more of the views here. We are going to be catching the D and the C category today. Now, the changes here today are very subtle, just so everybody knows. I know every week we do get a lot of questions about what are the changes, what's going on. One of the things we do like to do is have a double blind test, or a blind test at least, as to what exactly we are changing, and then let everybody know after the facts. We want to know what you thought of the race out there and how you interacted with it. And as we do that, we do want to hear back from you about what you thought were the changes, how you thought those changes impacted your race, as well as then it can kind of give us an idea of where things are actually changing and what did actually impact the racing out there today. So we are looking at the B category mixed up with the A category. That is something else that we are doing this week as well to try and enhance the community racing, is incorporating the B's and the A's together to kind of get a little bit more of a solid pack, as well as the reality of I think a lot of the riders out there will be able to see where the drafting or where the peloton impacts the racing out there a little bit differently perhaps than it would be if we just had all A racers or all B racers. A lot of times in elite racing, especially on local levels, a lot of times we do have racers that do mix it up with A's and B's, and so because of that, I think it will cause some of the changes to maybe be a little bit more noticeable by mixing together C and D category and A and B category to see how the watts per kilogram in an FTP that's around 3.2 to up to 5.0 can interact together, and vice versa from 0 up to 3.2 in that C and D category. Casey, I think, we do see in the racing scene a lot of times these two categories definitely able to mix it up with each other, and this might be able to see a little bit more tactics, I think, out there today.
Yeah, what you find when you get the mixed categories like that, some of the guys in the upper section of one and the lower in another, they overlap a lot on skills, and somebody who's a good puncher and is good at sitting in the pack is going to be able to hold on to a fast group that's maybe above their talent level. I mean, you already see some guys kind of kicking it off the front here, I think, testing the waters to see what they can do, if they can get away, how much work it takes, how quick the pack will come back to them.
Yeah, exactly. We do see some of the strongest riders out on Zwift jumping in here, actually. We are seeing Grimshaw along with Alex West here. The Choppa is out there. Some of the Vision riders jumping in amongst it. So it is going to be Soren Bay here from Fusion ECT jumping off the front right now. And this is an interesting section to give it a go here. Now, it is going to be 2 laps for the A category, or the A-B category. It will be 1 lap for the C and D category. So we will be able to catch the finish for the riders in that C and D category, as well as they are just getting out on course here. We'll jump in with the C's and the D's in just a second. We definitely want to be able to catch, though, the riders that are trying to go off the front here. And it does look like it is going to be Fusion ECT, the main ones, pushing toward the front end of this pack. And I'm trying to get our other feed here up in just a second here. It does look like it's going to be Austin Feld here along with Bachelor and then Alex West all off the front here at this point. And definitely on an all-out rampage, it looks like. It's going to be 5.4 watts per kilogram or so from them. They're stringing this out here. On this flatter section of course, Casey, do you think perhaps something that could stick here? I mean, this is dangerous if the pack behind's not super motivated.
Yeah, I'm not sure this is going to stick, but what I'm seeing here is those guys that came across that gap, it was only 3 seconds. When they came across that gap, the pack didn't stick to them as well as I would typically expect that to happen. So what I'm seeing is that it might be a little easier to run off the front of the pack like that and bridge that gap. So if you get a gap, you let some of those guys get 5 or 6 seconds out there and then really jump across that gap, I think it's a real dangerous gap to get then.
Yeah, for sure. And you do see 3, 4, 5, 6 riders here toward the front that we're trying to grab onto some of the attacks that were taking place there. Nobody able to really make it happen just as of yet, though. Back on the front, though, it is going to be Collins, it looks like, along with Vang. Martin Vang we saw yesterday jumping into the Fusion ECT race as well. So it looks like that was just a warm-up race yesterday for the riders here. 277 watts here currently coming from Collins right now, U17 rider. Vang for the KRT team making his way up toward the front. Dafford Williams is also out here as well. We're currently looking at his rider. Manson here from Vision, and then it's going to be G. Jackson from the watts per kilogram team here, currently at 330 watts right now. So solid efforts here. We're going to go ahead and bring in the... now, we are seeing a Ghost power-up now being thrown down. Now, we do have a new build here, everybody, that we are looking at here. So we will be able to see the riders that are going off the front. It will be Jonathan Levi here. The other riders unable to see him, actually. Does throw down a little bit of a Ghost and gets away a little bit there momentarily, but was unable to really make anything happen with it. Attacking from the middle of the pack. Now, Casey, being a very experienced rider, what's your experience so far with that Ghost power-up? Seeing how Jonathan used it there, it looked like it perhaps wasn't exactly used to its full advantage, but he's trying to time it, it seemed like, to try and make something happen with it.
Yeah, it's a really strong power up, but you have to hit the front of the pack like with some momentum, but not enough to hit orange numbers to draw attention to yourself. And then you got to go Ghost as you already have momentum rolling off the front. It doesn't quite stay active long enough in a scenario like this to get a really good strong gap. If you don't get some momentum and kind of roll out the front and drop that Ghost right before you break out of the group.
Yeah, for sure. That seemed to be what had happened there with Jonathan Levi here. Now, Jonathan, a little bit of shout out to him. He does run the Zwift hype page, and it was pretty cool to see he put this Powderpuff Girls video together of a little bit of spice and everything nice, with everything that comes together with the Zwift Community Live Test Labs. And this is at the end of that video, there was something kind of cool that he did, and that is the community feedback. Now, if you guys haven't done so already, there are forums that Zwift do run on their website, Zwift forums. Go check out the forums. There's a link in the Facebook page, in the Facebook live stream setup, and make sure to head on over there and check out exactly what though is going on with those forums, because there's a lot of feedback there. We want to hear from you guys about what you think about the races and how we can improve them week in and week out. All the changes, not all the changes that you see us making, but we take what you guys are saying seriously, and we try and do everything we can to bring in as many changes as we can that do make sense for the racing and to improve it specifically for your user experience, as well as what makes the best esport out here for Zwift. We do have an attack here off the front, though, it looks like, and it's going to be, it looks like, Turbo Rider here. It's Ostenfeld, actually, hammering off the front. I don't know much about Ostenfeld recently here. 5, 6 seconds off the front here from this Turbo Rider out of the US of A. Casey, is this a threat from this racer? Not somebody I've been, is this Neil? Is that right?
Yeah, this is a dangerous gap here. I mean, Neil's a strong guy. He's got some good power looking on Zwift power, 5.3 or so 20 minute. He can go long for quite a ways. Solo, if I'm sitting in this pack, him off the front solo, I'm not really worried. But if you get a couple other big guys, and these guys in this race are aggressive, you get somebody like West or Levi, one of those guys that tries to jump across this gap, you better get on their wheel, because this could be trouble if they get 2 or 3 up here.
Yeah, we do see that. And that is what a lot of times the effort that we do need to see in order to make these gaps stick is you do need 2 or 3 to go with him. Now, they're going to have to throw down some orange numbers to get across that gap. What's your experience? I mean, I saw you and Kim hammering away, I think it was the other day, on the Kim Little, former UK national champion. You guys were out on the Classics course on London. And you guys timed this attack perfectly. It was an earlier morning race, and you jumped across this gap. And it was like 8-9 watts per kilogram. It looked like you had to hold for like 15 to 20 seconds. Is that what we need to expect in an A category group like this to try and hold this gap? Because we do see this pack coming back pretty easily at this 3 to 4 watts per kilogram. Also, a shout out to the tweaks. Perhaps something we need to look at on our own feedback is this is coming back fairly easily, even though he is putting out 5 watts per kilogram.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any numbers out of the pack that are significantly close to his, and they're kind of slowly chipping away at this. So it looks like the pack still definitely has the advantage here. But yeah, in general, you get somebody out here like this. If I'm going to go with somebody like this, or like Kim and I will team attack maybe a move like this, we'll try to let it go, knowing we've got a pretty good kick. We'll try to let it go. Usually 7, 8 to 10 seconds is when we'll go then like full on orange numbers. If you're going to come with us, you're going to have to do 9-10 watts per kilogram, and we will get across that gap. Usually at 5 seconds or so, if some known riders do that big hard attack right there, everyone reacts to it. You know, it just takes one of those kind of known strong riders to do an attack, and everybody jumps and goes with it.
Yeah, so I mean, that is one of the things for sure, is that if you get somebody that's a little bit more under the radar, you don't get quite as much response. These riders, this is a classic situation you just don't want to be in. 3 seconds, hovering there, not going anywhere, and it's going to be, and with what's on the way here with the Titans Grove, I mean, I think the Titans are just going to smash Austin Feld once he does hit those. This might just be an effort that he wants to reel in at this point.
Yeah, if I actually had everybody in this pack in my ear right now, and I could talk to each one of them, and I'm racing, I'm going to say leave him at 3 seconds. Let him continue to go at 5 or 5.5, and just let him burn.
Yeah, and Casey, speaking of being in somebody's ear and talking about, Casey Shum is actually very experienced, I would think, at de-essing for Team Experimental, if I'm not incorrect.
Yeah, I do. I do a lot of de-essing for him. We do a lot of talking during the racing, and I'm actually doing the team lead for the Classics stuff for Team Experimental on the men's side.
Yeah, so obviously next week going to be watching out for Casey, perhaps for some in-ear stuff. We'll have to see, but you know, the de-essing for Team Experimental and what that's like, you know, this is your only experience, though, I would think, with any kind of director sportive stuff, and like it's kind of brought this whole new world to you in management of efforts, but it comes with experience of knowing what to go after. With 600 races, you know how this is going to behave. Now, speak to the test labs, doing them the last couple of weeks. Did you see major differences for what we did change, Casey?
Yeah, you definitely. I could watch the races and I could see differences, and I rode one of them and I could feel the differences. And then the hard part with them is when we had changes like double draft and things like that. The first time I rode them, we kind of tried different things to see what would work, and it took us 5 or 6 races to really figure out how to manipulate or to use that scenario to the best of our in our case. So. And a lot of these, what'll be interesting is, they're kind of testing the waters here. They're going to do some attacks that aren't going to be good attacks to kind of see how the setup works. And then as they get used to some of those changes. So I think the idea of it being different at different times is good too, because there's a little bit of unknown to it, right? It's kind of the idea of hitting crosswinds and things like that. They're going to have to think on their feet and adapt in each race if you kind of change up the scenario a little bit every week.
Yeah, definitely. And so that is part of it, too, is like we do want to see the riders adapt as much as they possibly can through these newer setups, that's for sure. Sorry about the pause there real quick. Of course, Windows suddenly said we're going to be installing some updates. during the broadcast here. So we're going to go ahead and shut down Windows Update right now, but we're back in with the A category here. But I definitely want to highlight the C category as they do get going here. Just Jay Baker along with A. Allen as we're back up and going with that other feed here. And Allen along with Baker, Robertson. It's Speiser here from Team Experimental coming out of the Netherlands. It's one of your teammates, actually, hammering away, it looks like, here with Brooks Schultz from the ZRG team. Martin Cruzman showing up every week, too, and putting some solid feedback over on the forums as well. We've been watching for that, and lots of chatter coming from him in the Facebook chat as well. So good to see some of the guys and gals who are hanging out in the broadcast, giving the feedback in the broadcast stream here, racing away here. It is a league group. It looks like to be of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 riders or so. Here amongst the C category here, about 120 back. It will be C. Curtis here on the chases among the chase group here with the D category mixed in here. And this is something that I think is kind of cool personally. Let us know what you think in the broadcast and in the chat, is that the D category, being a little bit smaller category, has some C's to race with, and they still have, it's not like they're in this solo race all on their lonesome. One of the worst places to be is kind of just out on Zwift, hammering away in your own personal TT when everybody else seems to have a group to race with, Casey.
Yeah, for sure. I think having the bigger groups like this and having that challenge is really it's really good, I think, for all the groups to kind of have that scenario there and to see the larger groups together. I like to see that for sure.
Yeah, and we are seeing, it does look like it is going to be Morten Vang. Yesterday, we saw him be the climber that they were talking about for KISS Racing Team, absolutely hammering it on the front end of those climbs. As we do hit Titans Grove, 5-6% gradient up front, and these climbs are about 1 to 2 minutes in time over and over and over again, depending on the ability level of the riders here. And this is essentially, from what I've been chatting with a lot of the racers, is it's almost like you're hitting up the forward Watopia climb over and over and over again for the entirety of Titans Grove. So if you thought Watopia forward was hard, how about we put 5 or 6 of them in front of you? At least that's the message I was getting from some of the riders that have raced out here. Casey, would you concur with that? Like, is this kind of like Watopia forward over and over again coming at you?
Yeah, it never stops kind of coming at you when you're going through here. It's punch after punch after punch. What's interesting here is it's about a 2-minute climb up into here, and then there's a little area of relaxation, and then it hits you again once you get through there a little bit further. So we're not even to the KOM proper where you get the jersey. We're just leading into it at this point, and they've already splintered the group. They're making everybody suffer, and then we're going to hit a proper 3-minute, 3.5 maybe. I think we did 3:40 yesterday on the proper KOM jersey time yesterday. 340. So this is like a Rotopia reverse almost when you actually hit the actual climb itself. So it really is, yeah.
Gotcha.
And
gotcha.
It's draftable. It's draftable. I think the overall average gradient's 4 or 5%, but it's got some kicks in there. So overall, you can get a good draft advantage going up the hill at these paces, but you still suffer. The guy on the front's doing 6.5. You still need to do 5.5 to hold on to him.
Well, speaking of watts per kilogram so far, Neil Ostenfeld definitely has put in a solid effort out there so far. But the reality of that effort that he has put out there at 4.9 watts per kilogram is the average for the duration. It is starting to come down as he sat in a little bit. But as you can see, risks that you take like he did on the Fuego Flats over there, not paying off right now, as we are seeing it looks about 20-some riders off the front right now for this 2 laps out on the new Sand and Sequoias expansion. Now, the Sand and Sequoias, for you guys don't know, includes Fuego Flats as well as the Titans Grove. So they do hit up the flats and then head on over into the climbers course here, at least the punchers course, maybe not a full-on climbers course like you would on Watopia Mountain. As we do head through the Redwoods here now, we do see Jonathan Levi now hammering away from Zwift. Hype 423 laps, looking to get a little bit of a gap. And is this a section to go at here, Casey? What do you think?
Yeah, right here, I think he's just hitting the actual KOM proper is where he's at now. So it starts kind of light, and then it really hits hard as we get further up. Kim attacked at this point yesterday, and we were able to draft him pretty well at this point, and then you get about 3/4 of the way up, and it really hits you pretty hard. So I think this is a good place for him. I think everybody else was hurting already. He's going to go. I'm expecting to see a few of these guys come with him if he gets more than about a 2-second gap here. There's going to be some guys that punch and come across here.
We'll see if Jonathan Levi can hold on to this, though. It does fade a little bit from 6 watts per kilogram. Now, Alex West now making his way to the front here. The Kiwi there, our bachelor there as well, all with those Zwift Academy badges on. 2 seconds is the gap here. He's going to have to hold on to this. We do see a couple of chasers straightening off the back there a little bit there. Some of the fastest, though, as we did say, in amongst Zwift are out here. Trzynski's in here. Soren Bay is out here. Grimshaw, Porter, Robertson. We are seeing Jonathan Levi off the front, though. Third wheel from the KRT team there, just sitting in, maybe not chasing down his teammate at this point as we do start to head into the climb now. Third wheel making his way to the front out of South Africa there of the main pack. We are seeing some feather power-ups now being popped here as they do head into the 4% grade. Now it starts to kick up as they head into this little canyon section, and we'll see if the riders can close things down behind. It does look like the group is going to do so. And as you did say, you can draft out here in the Titans Grove amongst the climbs. It's more about how hard they punch through the little uphill gradients that are out here on the climb.
Yeah, right about the point they're at now, I think right up around one of these next corners, it pulls up to 4 or 5% and holds pretty steady through the KOM banner at that point. So up to this point, it's been a little bit easier to hold on to wheels and to draft up through here. And you can see they're not hitting real hard yet. But there's a section coming up here where it gets a little bit steeper and it's going to stay a little more consistently steep. And I think that's the place where some of these guys are just sitting in, and when it gets hard, I think they're going to attack and go.
Yeah, gotcha. We are seeing some of the comments here. James Hodges out there. Now, James did not. Yesterday was burning all the matches. It looked like in the Fusion ECT series race number 2. So I'm not sure we're going to see James at the front here, as I think he's been dropped off a little bit earlier. But he was saying that some of the other KRT riders are going to have to make things happen. Now, as far as the favorites go out here today, we are heading through the first lap of 2 out here. But I'm going to have to say that Canyon ZCC Alex West most likely going to be one of the riders to be watching out for. Is there anybody that you think will be able to challenge, though, the likes of West here? As it looks like he's sitting in, keeping calm here and waiting for maybe a second lap attack here. But as I do say that, we do see a rider starting to go off the front. It is going to be Kayland here, along with Ostenfeld from Turbo. These are 2 riders that could be dangerous on the climbing section, I think.
Yeah, there's 4 or 5 names in here that are pretty strong. We've got Vang West, Soren Bay, a really experienced rider out here as well. Ostenfeld, Trzynski, Kayland. Those are your top 5 or 6 numbers when you're looking at the stats by the numbers. But definitely Morton Vang and West, Soren Bay, Levi. Those are the guys that are really head and shoulders above on the power. But we got some good kicks here, and we're right at the top of the climb here. They should be coming across the banner any second.
Yeah, we are looking at Lurstein here now as they are about to hit that banner up here, and it's going to be interesting to see if he's able to hold on to the gap, actually, that he has caused, because Soren Bay is about 1 second back here at this point. Here he goes over the top, though. It is Ostenfeld, actually. Now, there is a gap. B. Hodges there behind, along with third wheel. West is just hanging on, it looks like here, but is absolutely splintered behind as they head on down this downhill. Now, this is probably a much longer downhill than we're used to after a punchy climb like this.
Yeah, the descent on here is only about half of the full vertical, so this is where I think you got to be careful. Like I'm seeing Jonathan Levi's off the back here a little bit. You go straight down for about half of the descent here, and then you start rolling downhill. And when you get into the rollers, it's not like a normal descent. You can't relax. So we're definitely seeing some gaps here, and we've got a front group formed now that I think is going to go away, about 15, 18 people, but they're just about down the proper descent now, and now it's going to roll. It's going to continue to gradually go downhill, but it doesn't just go -% anymore. It's going to start rolling up and down all the way back out to the desert.
Yeah, and you do see that gap you're talking about here. And this is not a good place to be. It's Chapa along with Wilson, Park Life. We do see Mustard a little bit off the back there, off the front. Well, off the front of this group, but off the back of that main group here. Now a little bit of a feather power up being popped by Levi here as it does get into a little bit of undulations. Now this is a dangerous spot to be here for Jonathan Levi from the KRT team. Not sure this is going to be coming back, and I think that they smell that blood in the water here. And we do see Ostenfeld here now starting to go on that attack here at the front end of this group.
Yeah, they're attacking these little kickers now, and there's 2 or 3 of them in here. The one they're on now is one it's a pretty significant little kick here, and you can create another gap here. And then once you get over the top of this, you're going to have to hit every one of those little punches. This is like the Essies on steroids. You know, it's a little bit bigger kicks, it's a little bit harder kicks, so you've really got to be on your toes through here.
This is the Essies on steroids, the mega Essies here that they're trying to make their way through right now. And this is not only splintered from the riders that fell off the back there that we're talking about, Jonathan Levi, Wilson, Chapa, Mustard, that you do see in the riders nearby list, but a few others here with Robertson, as you can see here, with Bachelor, Melting Tallow, another extremely experienced rider who's found himself off the back, maybe just not the power that's needed. And that's what I'm liking about this course so far. It's not only one of the most beautiful courses that we've ever seen out on Zwift, but it's also one of the courses that is it seems to be one of the courses that really, really causes the riders to have to bring the fitness as well as the tactics. Fuego Flats, tactical, sit in, know how to draft well, but also being able to know how to draft well through this section, put the power down when you need to. And now we do see those riders on the front that have made this break, putting the power down exactly when we need to. As we head back to that front group, Grimshaw leading things out here as they've broken this apart. And I do believe we do have, it looks like, I'm going to take a look at SwiftPower.com here real quickly, get an idea of how many have gone off the front. It does look like 13 now. Oh, no, 10 riders. 14 riders, including Soren Bear, Peter Szczynski, Neil Ostenfeld, and Brian Hodges, just trying to claw their way back on to this main group. But this is the cream of the crop here. And speak to that a little bit, though, Casey. This course definitely needs some serious fitness to try and hang on to these kind of efforts.
Yeah, I mean, typically you get over the hill and everybody sits up, and even if it's a flat section, you kind of sit up and you sit in the pack and you rest. You only get about 30 seconds of that rest down the little descent here, and then you go right back into punching. So if you really got to the limit at the top of the hill, you don't get to recover before you. If somebody attacks in a section like this, you've got to stay on the gas, and especially not everybody's used to riding this course yet. You get caught on the back foot, you lose those 3 or 4 seconds. And you get this gap. Now, in our race, what you're going to find here, I think, is this front group, when they get back out to the flats, they might relax a little bit. They're comfortable. That back group is a little bit angry because they got dropped. They're a little bit more motivated, and there's 6 miles of flat to run them back down. So how motivated will the front group stay, and how motivated will the back group be to catch them? And you may find that gap shrinks a little bit here.
Yeah, it's a good point, actually, that the riders, do definitely have plenty of time to bring this back. We do see the chase there behind it. They have not given up, actually. Robertson here just a little ways back, it looks like, and I'd be watching out for them to perhaps be able to bring this back together here, as it's only a 5-second gap back to Robertson. Who else is in that pack there? It doesn't look like it is going to be Bachelor. Collins here now trying to hang on. Actually, no, Collins still in amongst this group here. Yeah, it's going to be Bachelor here, as we do see, along with K. Robertson and Melting Tallow here. 6 seconds is the difference here. They're going to have to really work together, and as you did say, the group up ahead does look to be calming down just a little bit. Maybe not extremely interested in wasting too much effort, as it's not all the same team, so not just a team time trial off the front here. Now, back in with the C and D category, there is a break off the front here. It is going to be A. Allen here that is making his way through Titans Grove. 19 seconds up from, it looks like, Baker and Robertson. Bijzer here now, group of 3, making the chases. They're out on the climb here. Team Experimental, Bijzer here out of the Netherlands, trying to chase down Robertson, and it looks like Baker. A little bit of a gap here coming between them and the C category here. Now up and out of the saddle, as he knows he's most likely on the stream here. How motivating is that? I know Casey Shum, CS Tricks, CX_tricks over on Twitch. Everybody, if you haven't done so already, go make sure to follow Casey, as he does stream his own personal racing and training experience just about every day over on Twitch. But how motivating is it just to be on that broadcast, Casey, when you start hearing your name yelled, or even just being live streaming it?
Yeah, it is really motivating, and I know, especially in all the levels of riding, the people that watch your streams and Zwift Community Live, and that it is motivating to get that recognition, to get called out on stream, and a lot of times we'll kind of laugh, even in the team car. It's like, I'm going to go for some TV time, and we'll go for a sprint, or we'll jump off the front. We know we're not going anywhere. We know they're going to pull us back. Everybody reacts to us, that sort of thing. But we go for some TV time. We have some fun. But it's great to get that recognition out there in the community, and I especially in the C and the D categories. I know a lot of those guys are racing really hard, and they're racing consistently, and they love that they get that coverage in there too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, across all of the broadcasts, there's a lot of different broadcasts out there. We definitely want to give the shout out to everybody who's putting in a huge effort. Casey does commentary once in a while on his channel. Obviously, Indoor Specialists, they're out there with their Grand Fondo going on right now. Zwift with their own productions happening. We just saw the Zwift Classics women's race take place with Annie Johnson there hammering that sprint over Governor Street climb just less than an hour ago. So lots and lots going on in the world of Zwift racing and streaming. So definitely keep an eye out for all of those. And if you do want to jump into any of those races that are broadcast, you could look out for that TV time. Make sure to hit the follow buttons on all those spaces because you never know what you're going to jump into and what might be out there for the, well, if you want to be watched. Some people might be like, I don't want my power numbers to be shown. But hey, Alan here showing off his power numbers here. 266, it looks like 210, 177 beats per minute out of Australia now. Early morning, it looks like rides for some of these riders in the lands down under. Robertson trying to chase that down. This is still a threat, actually, I think, in this C category for Alan. He's going to have to watch his back here because Baker and Robertson looking to chase him down. The question is, will Alan get an upgrade, or is he able to just was this a breakaway just through the climbing sections? This is more of the downhill, I believe, here as they head back over the flats. They'll be looking for that sprint section. It looks like Robertson and Baker working well together to chase down Allen here at this point. It could happen still, I think, here, Casey, bringing Allen back, but it's 27 seconds. It's going to be a hard gap to close.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough gap to close, and yeah, it looks like Allen might be nominated for an upgrade after this, but good for him, going out there, going hard, and going solo. It's right at that gap that it's tough. The guys behind, if they get motivated and want to chase, they might be able to pull this back. But if they chase, they've only got a few miles to go. If I chase hard now, I might be ruining a sprint and handing the sprint to the guy that's sitting on my wheel. So it's always kind of you're playing back and forth. If I go too hard here and we don't catch him, I burn myself out and I can't win the sprint. Allen just has to go all in, right? Allen has to, everything he's got out there, he's got to maintain the gap. If I'm in his shoes, I'm looking at the power of the two guys behind me, and I always want my number higher than theirs. That's my goal. Always keep my number higher than theirs.
Yeah, for sure. And we're looking here, and it looks like Allen is able to do so. Upgrade is most likely on the way for Allen. He's pulling a solid 3.7 watts per kilogram for the duration of the race as Baker and Robertson are chasing things down here. Let's jump back in with the front end of the A group here, as I do believe we do have a break with Ostenfeld here off the front, it looks like. And we'll see if we can jump back in with him in just a moment here. I'm looking at, on my feed, Morehouse here, though, and amongst the chase right now. But Ostenfeld does have a little bit of a gap here at this point, as it is looking to be about 10 seconds. And this is where we were talking about, Casey, I think, with the little bit of a reprieve that the riders can be looking for, looking forward to the next time through Titans Grove. And I think that this might be a situation where they are sleeping a little bit, allowing this rider to get away.
Yeah, this is a dangerous situation now. Ostenfeld looks like he's committed to this. He's holding well over 5 watts per kilogram consistently. You're not seeing anything above 4 or 4.5 out of the group behind. Looks like Morton Vang now might be rolling. He gets near to the front and he just backs right back off. So there's no real chase going on here. And the guy sitting in this pack, I mean, I've been here a long time. Number one, about this point, I'm regretting not going with Ostenfeld. I'm sitting in that group at 15 seconds saying, that's too big to go across by myself. And I wish I would have went with him because this could stick if there's more than one guy out there. It's going to take the teams to do some work here, and it looks like Kalen is starting to do that now with Team KRT. He's gone to the front. He's going over 6 now. So he's going to start closing that gap down, and it looks like there's a couple KRT guys in there that I think they can do that and still serve up somebody like Morton for the finish and keep him pretty fresh. But it's going to take a deliberate effort, and actually I think Kalen just pulled off the front. If you look back there, Kalen actually got a gap. He's not pulling the group anymore. He's out in no man's land, so he's got to decide, does he go back and pull more, or does he run across this gap?
running across the gap like this, for these situations, now this is exactly what I was about to say, is Alex West now, as you do see, kicking up into 8.7 watts per kilogram. The orange numbers is what you need to make that happen on that canyon now, trying to go across. But this gets the response from everybody else here, knowing that Alex is most likely one of the favorites out here today. They all respond to Alex, and this does not necessarily play into Ostenfeld's favor, because as those speeds kick up and people start responding, that brings all that speed from that power responses to the front of this group. And next thing you know, they might not be trying to make a concerted effort to chase. It's just the reality of the efforts to try and chase each other's down that makes that situation happen. And it looks like, this might be bringing back Ostenfeld momentarily here if they continue to attack each other. But we do need to see something way up, I think, into, way up into the watts per kilogram of like 9-10 watts per kilogram to really try and get across here to make it be a serious threat to a team time trial off the front. But at this point, it doesn't look like there's motivation to do that as Ostenfeld now, but almost still out of sight though. These little caverns here maybe playing to his favor.
Yeah, we're getting a little out of sight, out of mind going on here. That little kick from West, I think that was an attempt for him to kind of do a bridge, and you're looking at the gap behind, and they're within 6 meters. They're on my wheel, and he's like, "Nah, I'm not going to pull the whole pack back," and he backs off, and nobody else kind of follows through with that attack, and all of a sudden, they closed 3 or 4 seconds on Vang right away, but then they all kind of sat up and were like, "Whoa, that hurt. I don't want to do that again," and this could grow for Vang now, or for Ostenfeld if he keeps digging.
Yeah, interesting to see. And without, though, any, there are actually no teammates in and amongst the group here from Turbo, though, which is interesting to see that the way that everything's kind of working together or not working together at this point, I'm not sure that we're going to be seeing much of a response from the field, actually, outside of just little individual efforts to try and bring things back here. So, I'm surprised. I said that wrong. So I'm surprised that the teams aren't working together and we're only seeing individual efforts. I'm surprised that there isn't this concerted effort. And do you think that some of the teams are thinking, look, in order to really make something happen here, we need to just send solo riders out the front and not drag this whole pack together?
Yeah, I think that's some of it is some guys don't want to give the free ride. Like, you've got attacks going now. Kalen got in that no man's land again and committed to it, and now you've got Alex coming across that gap again. And I think that's the motivation of some of these guys is if I do all the work to pull this back, I've burned matches and I've given these other guys a free ride. I don't want to do that. So now we're starting to spice things up a little bit. They're about halfway across this flat now. They've got 3 miles or so to the hills. And it's starting to get quick, but Ostenfeld's gap's still enough that they can play around back here and still not catch him.
Yeah, there's a huge gap here now at this point, and we're up to 12 seconds. And as they continue to push here, the riders now are, maybe the gap is so big at this point. A lot of times you do see a situation where they're just they give these little kicks, and then there's just it's too much of a distance to actually make anything happen. And, and then they just know they're just going to get shut down. And it's almost like the group works against itself a lot of times in these situations where there's a kick, you close the gap down, everybody's heart rates rise, and then they just kind of look at each other. And there's no counter almost. That would almost be the ideal situation, but you don't want to be that first one to go, right, Casey? That's always the situation where when you're the first one to go, you're just getting shut down.
Yeah, in a situation like this, I'll get frustrated because I'll go to the front and I'll go like 6-0 for 30 seconds and I'll back off and kind of give the elbow and I'll maybe even type next in chat and nobody goes. And I'm like, well, all right, I'm not going to close the whole gap. But if you get every single person in this pack to just go do 6-0 on the front for 30 seconds, this gap's done. I mean, he's got no hope. But nobody's willing to do it. And Kalen keeps doing it for KRT. He keeps going to the front and he's pulling. He's not attacking. Kalen's going 5-5-5. And he's creeping away from the group a lot of times and actually creating a gap. And if I'm in his shoes, I would keep doing it. And it's like, if you're not even willing to hold on to my wheel at 5.5, then I'll ride out here in no man's land because there's just not that cooperation to get across here, and that's what it's gonna take. What I'm fearful for on Ostenfeld is he is going to bury himself all the way to this hill, and they're going to get to this hill, and a couple of guys are going to pull 6.5, and just they're going to be there in no time.
Now, that could be a situation, though, that he could benefit from if they do come across. The gap is just enough that they don't have insane amount of power when they do come across. We'll have to wait and see how that ends up playing out. But, if they do bridge across to him, and it ends up being a situation where he has some sort of power left in the tank, at that point, it could be to his favor here for Ostenfeld. But it is 10 seconds here at this point. Kalen here, it looks like, on the front, trying to chase things down. Soren Bay just a little ways behind him, as you can see here. 5.5 watts per kilogram. So it does look like the orders have been given a little bit here at this point for KRT to try and maybe bring something back here. Fusion. Now ECT, Trzynski with Poland, Vang from the KRT team, Robertson from the BRT, Grimshaw then sitting, it looks like, in about 4th or 5th place there. Solid line of riders here. It does look like they're starting to get a little bit organized. A little bit of 1 second gap back here to Grimshaw. It looks like now Aristegi here out of Spain and Hodges. But 8 seconds is all it is. They're starting to chip away at this point, Casey, and it looks like maybe perhaps things are going to come back together before they hit the Grove.
Yeah, I think they are, but they've done it again here in the pack. And if I'm in the pack right now, like I'm really upset because they let Kalen sneak off the front again at 5.3, 5.2. Kalen was up at the front, happy to pull the pack along. He hasn't attacked here. They just got lazy in the pack and they let the wheel go. And Kalen's out in no man's land. Kalen's effort right now is not doing anything to help the pack. Somebody's going to have to. Kalen is backed off now, and he's going to drift back to him and try to pull again. But if I'm Kalen, I'm frustrated now because I'm like, I'm trying to help you guys, and you can't even hold on to my wheel. Like,
yeah, perhaps it's almost on purpose from some of the other teams out there saying, look, we know this is going to come back. I don't have to work that hard with Kalen. Ostenfeld is within 10 seconds at this point. We're about to hit Titans Grove. And somebody like Alex West, we did see Grimshaw was able to go pretty hard. Lerfstein as well from the Vikings team. We saw him with some solid efforts taking the win. I believe it was yesterday in the Fusion race. So, we've got some firepower in here, and I think some of the more confident riders are thinking, I don't need to sit on Kalen's wheel here at 5 watts per kilogram, and perhaps maybe with some of the drafting dynamics this week as well, not getting quite as much of a draft perhaps, and are now finding themselves off the back a little bit, but not too concerned about it as they're about to hit into the Grove here. But now Ostenfeld, though, look at this distance here. He's around another corner already. What is the time getting? 13 seconds. It keeps hovering right around that dangerous mark, and I usually call 15 to 20 seconds the dangerous mark, actually.
Yeah, this is the dangerous mark here, and Ostenfeld, looking at his history and his stats, he's going to be able to hold above 5 watts per kilogram for the duration of this race. If he burns the matches the right way, getting up into the hill, I do think there's a few guys here that can cover that gap, and that may just be what we see happen here in the hills. I think we may see an Alex West, the Soren Bay attack, Morton Vang, that goes across that gap, but it may only be 4 or 5 guys that really punish this hill and get across that gap. Their hill times weren't real fast on the previous lap. They were over 4 minutes. We did a 3:45, I think, yesterday. So there's definitely a lot more in the tank for these guys in this race to get up this hill this round.
Yeah, and we do see the chase here now, maybe starting to come on from Alex
And
West.
here we go.
That's left in the tank. Yeah, and this is it. Heading into the Grove here. 10 watts per kilogram coming from West now, as you can see. He is absolutely demolishing this right now. And Alex West, I think, as we did say, one of the stronger riders in amongst the group here, that we are seeing a lot of the responses here from the rest of the group when they do come in. It's already down to 6 seconds here. Now 10 watts per kilogram here coming from the Kiwi. Third wheel just trying to hold on to that wheel here at this point. And as he grabs back onto the wheel there of Alex West, there's a 2-second gap here. Hodges immediately backing off here the pace that he was holding. Now back into 8.7 watts per kilogram, grabs onto the wheel here. This is the threatening point that we were talking about a little bit earlier, though, as we are going to look here at Ostenfeld. And will this end up being the group that we spoke about? Will he be able to jump onto the wheels of these riders? Or is it going to be a situation where they just go flying right on by and he's burned too many matches with that break that he did create here? Lursveen with a solid result yesterday, though, but will he be able to hang on and grab back on? It doesn't look like he's using a feather power up here, Lursveen, as they jump into this 4% gradient here at this point. Interesting to see how they do attack this climb already, as the riders are, we're getting a little bit of a helicopter shot here, but as the riders are heading into the grove here, there is a ride off the attack, though. Interesting. Third wheel, not expected actually here from the KRT rider, as he is absolutely demolishing this here. And, oh, it's actually off the front. Vang, excuse me. I thought it was a KRT rider with the blue with third wheel. But it's actually Morton Vang, who I think yesterday we saw him as being perhaps one of the favorites out here, Casey, from KRT when it comes to the climbing over on that volcano, taking that volcano climb with the fastest time. West now responding from it. But now I think this is going to be the serious lap here for these boys as they start to attack this Titans Grove.
Yeah, this is interesting here. What happened is they did that big push and they caught Ostenfeld, and about half of the group kind of started grabbing wheels. Morton Vang went to the front and said, they all hurt real bad, I'm going to hurt him even more. And he just kept pushing. And he kept holding that 2 or 3 second gap, and all of a sudden now you see Alex West, Soren Bay, some of those guys reacting to get across that gap. The interesting thing I'm looking at is the guys that have conserved versus the guys who went really hard. I've got third wheel sitting in here at a 4.0 watt per kilogram average for this race, and Morton Vang at a 4.7, just to give you an idea of if you draft this and you're not aggressive on the front, how much you can rest. But they're starting to pull a gap now. They've got a 2-minute climb and then a 3-mile run into the finish. Do these guys 2-man TT this to the end? Does Soren Bay get up to them? This is getting interesting now because it's going to obliterate this pack, and they've got 2 or 3 miles to suffer over the top of this hill.
Yeah, it is absolutely blurred in the pack here, as you do see West and Morton Vang. Alex West, Morton Vang, the Kiwi and the Norwegian here off the front now. 5.4 watts per kilogram on the front coming from Vang here. Soren Bay a little ways behind now at this point, and it does look like the gap is starting to put the hurt into the legs here. Now it is going to be third wheel from the KRT team. Was he chased down his teammate, though, is the question, as he makes his way to the front here now. And now it's going to be Grimshaw, Collins there as well. 4 riders in this chase group. 4 seconds is the difference here at this point, as Alex West now continues on at the front end of this this breakaway between these 2 riders here. It continues 7 watts per kilogram, and now they're not actually they're not actually into the proper climb just yet, are they? This is into the lower sections.
Yeah, I think they just maybe started the KOM banner proper just now. Like they have 3.5, 345 to get up this hill at 6.0. So yeah, they've still got a lot of climbing to do here.
Tons of climbing yet to go here. It's about 3 minutes or so of climbing. We do see in the upper right-hand corner the little mini-map as we're making the way around here. And a little bit of a pterodactyl here trying to chase down Grimshaw. That might be a little bit of motivation for him to keep the power up. There's the Rex in the background. And I think it is when they do go past the Rex there, the T-Rex is the section where it really starts to get into the KOM. But the gap is not being closed down at this point. It's 8-9 seconds now. And it is going to be Lursveen as well as Hodges now with the third chase group off the back here. And yesterday's efforts obviously hurting the Viking team rider here, as it is 10 seconds up to Collins. It's the first chase group, as we do see. It's going to be, so this is the situation out on course, everybody. Grimshaw along with Soren Bay, third wheel there, and Collins. But we do see Grimshaw here now starting to kick up a little bit as he makes his way into the KOM as well, knowing that this is the section he might be able to close things down. It's going to be the rider out of the UK absolutely able to put the hurt in now, it looks like, as he starts to walk away, immediately grabbing 4 seconds. And it almost looks like Soren Bay and the rest are like, enough is enough, throwing in the towel. This has just been too much. But it's going to be a large ask here, I think, for Grimshaw to close down this gap, as it is out to about 7 seconds between them. But now we do have a new situation out on course here with Grimshaw with 7 seconds between himself and Morton Vang and Alex West off the front still in this breakaway situation, looking to win Test Labs number 4 out on Zwift here. And thinking of some of the dynamics here with the way that the pack and the drafting is, we're on a completely new course though too. So this is something that we're going to have to look at. I do like this course though specifically for the realities of there's little punchy climbs, and then there's also sections out here that are flat and tactical that show us what the draft in the peloton does. I think it's almost the perfect course, actually, Casey, for testing how the pack behaves in the two situations that we've seen it do such different things, right? Like the flat sections where it's this more like large pack that's going to chase things down easily, but then also these quick undulations with sharp downhills that maybe reward the pack a lot.
Yeah, this is a really good course to test on because you do have a lot of variance in it, and it's a long section of flat, so you can really see the long play in the flat when somebody gets out there for 2 or 3 miles and how they pull them back, and it really is an excellent course for that. And then, yeah, I mean, we've got the situation now where you're basically going to have 2-man packs separated by 15 seconds when they get over the top of this climb, and how does that run out to the finish?
Exactly, and we'll have to wait and see how that does happen because it's going to be Bay along with Third Wheel here. They've got a solid effort here that they could try and make the chase. There's still about 2 minutes to go, I think, to the top of this climb here. Let's go ahead and see if we can bring in the leaderboard, and it's a 4:05 that they were pulling in to the top of the climb with Lursveen last time, but I think that put a little bit of hurt into the legs with that 4:05 last time because he's off the back now at this point by almost 40 seconds.
Yeah, they just crossed the top. The leaders did at 4 minutes. And I actually think what happened here is their time wasn't as fast as ours was yesterday because they attacked before the KOM ever started. They did a hard 3-minute effort before the KOM, where yesterday we attacked on the KOM proper to get that 3:45.
Yeah, we are seeing 4 minutes, just 0.7 seconds over the top there with that leaderboard there. So solid effort there with that 4-minute climb. But that is a serious effort here. 4 minutes. You're talking an all-out VO2 max effort. I mean, it's actually, I didn't realize how hard the climb was, especially since the actual climbing starts a little bit earlier out on course. And Grimshaw now just coming over the top here, as you can see, about 25 seconds back. Going to be a big ask to chase this down here. Third Wheel trying to work together with Soren Bay to bring this back to try and get onto that podium here, as it's going to be the top 3 that are out ahead with Grimshaw. West here we're looking at as well as Morton Vang is there as well, 5.5 watts per kilogram, all working well together. But this new course, Titans Grove, shows us that there is a new, I think, punchy climb, a new all-out VO2 max standard almost, I would say, because we're looking at about 320 to 330, maybe 340 for the really fast A-plus times out on the Rotopia reverse KOM. This being a little bit punchier, having a little bit more rollers out there, having sections where you can make attacks and then draft in a little bit. A new tactical climb out on course here. Plus you got dinosaurs chasing out there. I think it's a motivation, that's for sure, Casey.
Yeah, the dinosaurs will definitely get your heart rate up. And the interesting part about the climb is we talk about the climb with the KOM jersey and the times on it, but if a strong rider attacks, there's a hard section leading up to the climb. So, and I timed that section out from our races yesterday, and if you do the first section of the climb that's not part of the jersey hard, it's still a 2.5 minute effort to get up to the KOM line, and you only have about a 30-second reprieve between those two climbs. So it's kind of like somebody attacking, 2 minutes before you hit the base of the hill. If somebody hits you hard before you get to the proper climb, you can really extend out the effort and hurt some people.
We are seeing, speaking of putting the hurt on here now, as they do exit momentarily, they'll be exiting just a little bit here, back out onto the Fuego Flats now. You can see in the upper right-hand corner how much landscape is left there. Kind of cool. You are able to see, upper right-hand corner. You can see the wattage in the upper left, but in the upper right-hand corner, here are the gaps here out on course. Grimshaw there, just a little, just being caught. I thought he was going to be absolutely gone and out of sight, out of mind, but Grimshaw now being caught by Third Wheel and Bay now. Here's the top 3 situation, or not top 3, the fight for the last point on the podium, last spot on the podium here, as we do still have a 38-second gap to West and Vang. I think these two sit pretty comfortably at the effort that they can put down out there today, but Bay along with Grimshaw and Third Wheel, it was a catch there, and it was Third Wheel that did put down that effort here to catch up to Grimshaw. I thought he'd be gone with that attack that he made on that uphill. It was a huge effort he put in to try and close things down to those lead riders, but unable to make it happen. And it looks like the work put in by third wheel. Now, is it going to be too much, though, for a sprint out there as the riders are making their way toward the finish line here in just a moment here? And we are looking here, total so far is 38.6 for kilometers so far. They're traveling solidly here at 49 kilometers per hour. 51 minutes of racing so far. A little bit longer race than they're used to. It will be under about 1 hour, but a little bit longer race than the A's are used to. So perhaps, but I mean, anything within an hour, though, is right around that everything you got FTP type effort here. Hodges and Trusinski, do not count these boys out yet, because look at these guys. They are absolutely putting in the effort here. I mean, is this going to happen? It looks like it is.
Yeah, it is. What they're doing, if you watch them, they're riding the road really well. Somebody is at the front going over 6 watts per kilogram on every one of these little uphill kicks. If you ride through here and you just hit every uphill and then relax, you got to get the momentum over the top of each one of them. They're going to roll right up on this group. I mean, you can see they're there.
Look at that, Casey. That was really well done. That is some Zwift tactical racing and riding right there. That is for sure.
Yeah, that's experience right there, and that's exactly how I rode through there in the race. You hit those uphills and you go to the front of the group, and I call it, you pull the rope on the uphill, make them chase you, and you get to the top and you just coast, let the pack come back around you, and then you pull the rope on the next little dig, and you will make up a ton of time on the group in front of you. Now, if these guys keep it up now, they just made a pack of 8 or 10 here. 40 seconds is not that far, especially that they're 40 seconds up the road. They're still on a little bit of a downhill. The front two are going to slow down before these guys slow down. So this is probably going to come back to 30 seconds before they get on what I would call neutral road again, where they're back out on the flat.
Interesting, actually. I thought this was all said and done, but there's still about 2 or 3K to go to the finish line here. They're seeing 2.7 watts per kilogram, but with the catch, though, Casey, they've calmed right on down here at this point. So not sure if they're gonna be motivated to bring this back. They may have. I'm not saying that they have, but they may have at this point said those boys are gone, and they're just kind of watching each other. Look, you can even see the speed in the group at this point. It's calmed down. They're not super interested in making that chase. It's all about third place, I think, in their heads.
Look over their shoulder, though. The group behind them, I don't think, has given up. But yeah, what you need here for this group to actually make a legitimate chase here is you need about 3 guys from one team. So 2 of them can sell out for about 2 miles and leave the third to sprint. And you don't have that. So these guys are all just going to say, I want third place. That's what they're doing now. I want third place. If they want to go, let them go.
Yeah, exactly.
And Grimshaw's off the front.
Grimshaw definitely wants third place. He's like, if these guys are just going to sit here and look at each other, I'm going to do something about this. And Collins is saying, me too. He goes right along with it here on the Cervelo S5 we're seeing here now. Grimshaw now looking to grab onto that wheel. Vang and West not out of the woodwork just yet. They are not in the clear just yet, as these riders are starting to kick up, but they are working well together. At what point do the cat and mouse games start, though? That's going to be the question. There's a little bit of landscape yet to work with here, but when does that start here, Casey?
Well, right now, this is the power-up territory. So when I say power-up territory, this is the territory where somebody who doesn't have a power-up that will win the race in a sprint will attack and go all in. Right around this area, one of these guys that doesn't have a helmet and knows he can't win the sprint, he's going to sell out any second now. You're going to see an orange number, and somebody's going to attack. And if no one in this pack reacts, if the guys with the helmet all just sit there and say, I'm not going to do it, I'm going to let somebody else do it, all of a sudden there's 7 seconds and you can't get it back. And that's exactly how we lost the race yesterday.
Yeah, that was interesting yesterday with the way that things went with the power-ups, that's for sure. With the ZHR, you're talking about the ZHR race yesterday when somebody went very early.
Yeah.
We are seeing here, is that going to happen, though? It looks like, I don't know if these guys have any power-ups, though, over the top of that KOM.
They're going to get caught if they don't go. They're going to get
so?
caught if they
really?
don't go.
No way, these boys?
Austin Feld's 21 seconds back. Look.
Oh, I guess so. So the next back, well, yeah, so the group behind here, and you're right, Ostenfeld now starting to kick, and third wheel now, as we do see here, starting to give a little bit of a kick here, and here they go. West, though, up ahead along with Vang, as we were seeing just a moment ago, so they are interested in keeping that group from trying to get into a third place. You know, that's interesting. We're looking at like the top 10 to 15 at this point, but it's for third place if they can keep this group from actually catching them. Ostenfeld, though, he's the one that's been really putting the work in on this day, and he's gone from that group behind trying to make that chase. Now the question is between Vang and West, though. They're coming into the sprint section in just a moment. We're talking about first place out here today, and they have entered the sprint. Here we go. It's about 30 to 40 seconds to the line here. Vang now, 4.2 watts per kilogram, starting to lead things out just a little bit here. Will he be able to hold on to this? Will he be able to hold on in a sprint against the likes of West here? I'm not sure he's the kind of sprinter that Alex West is. And here we go now. It is going to be Morton Vang now leading it out. West, it's a little bit of he gave a, Casey, he gave a little bit of a dig to see if he could get West to go. The fake sprint, but no, it's a drafting power up. It is a drafting power up. West kicking with the drafting power up, trying to maybe counteract anything that Vang can do to the line here, but it's just not even a match. The climber versus the sprinter out there today is really what happened. Morton Vang trying to get him to give a little bit of a go. Not going to happen. Now it's going to be between Hodges, though. Hodges with the burrito power up, perfectly timed. That is actually supposed to be exactly how you use that power-up to try and keep one of the other riders that have those aero power-ups off their wheel. Hodges with 16 watts per kilogram. Fusion trying to come across. This is for third place. Not going to happen as Bay takes fourth. Third wheel coming across there, it looks like, for fifth place. We'll get the replays here in just a second, but what a race here out in the Zwift Community Live Test Labs, race number 4. Today we were testing a little bit of a change in the draft out there today. We'll get some more specific details on exactly what the changes were and get your feedback. Now, if you did do the race or if you did watch the broadcast out here today and you enjoyed the broadcast, you didn't enjoy the broadcast, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you thought of what was going on out here today with everything that we were providing. We're looking to push the platform, do everything we can to provide some awesome user experience. We had the C and the D category out there. We definitely want to jump into that real quickly. This was the winner. Whoa.
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, for sure. Austin Feld put in a heck of an effort on the flat. He committed to it and he went for it. And kudos to him for going out there and doing it. And then, yeah, it was a great race. Watching, it was interesting to me. West and Vang both finished without what you would call a typical sprint power up too. So, had they not went on the hill, they would have lost that sprint had the pack caught them. I mean, I'm pretty safe to say Hodges and Soren Bay had enough of a sprint with power ups that I think Weston Vang might have been in trouble. So it creates for an interesting scenario, and I think that a lot of that was the course in combination with the changes. Yeah, it's real exciting to see how it all shook out.
There we go. So, sorry about that, everybody. So Nathan stopped talking first time ever. So you guys, what happened there was I muted everything. I muted everything when the dinosaurs came out, everybody, and we muted everything out there like as quickly as I could on the replays. So what happened there on the replay was it was in slow-mo, and when it's in slow-mo, if the audio is still on, everybody, that's what you get. Is you actually get slow-mo audio. And we had something for some reason, I think the other day, where I wanted the audio to still be coming through on one of our replays. And that was absolutely great, actually. I appreciate everybody with the feedback. Nathan got eaten by a T-Rex, Russell Batcher. So the funny thing is that whole time, Casey could hear me. For part of it, you couldn't hear Casey, and none of you guys could hear me at all the whole time. Having fun with it, everybody. Should we send help? Renee Dion is saying as well. The T-Rex comments, though, I absolutely sounds like a dinosaur invaded the stream. Katie Levi is letting us know as well. I'm being told that Alex West is in Discord as well. I'm going to have to actually grab him from a different Discord. Casey, I'll be right back with you in just a second as I'm going to head over to the Zwift Community Live Discord real quick.
Sounds good.
So, boys, we're here. Reese, Westy, good to have you guys. I'm going to just bring this up real quick here to let everybody know what's happening. And just so everybody knows, Reese Howell here along with Alex West for a little bit of a chat. Alex, can you hear me? Do we got you, first of all?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
We got him. We got Alex. And Alex, what happened in the race today? Give us, we saw things fairly calm, it seemed like, from you up front. And then it looked like it was all on Titans Grove climb at the end there that you were looking forward to.
Yeah, I was definitely biding my time for the climbs, and it's interesting with the way that course goes, because you got that usual climb on the TikTok course, and then you don't get the usual descent after that. So I think it's actually a really tough course.
Yeah, so you do have, so that's a good point, actually, with the climb that usually heads into a left-hand turn instead of the right-hand turn, if I'm not incorrect. So you usually head on over to Ocean Boulevard, or you head back on over toward the Fuego Flats. But in this situation, it just keeps on going up. Was the tactic today waiting for Titans Grove? It seemed like things are fairly calm for you on the sections of the course that were flatter, and you were mainly following wheels waiting for that climb. We also saw Vang, obviously very strong out there today, and I thought he was probably going to be the main threat, and that was correct on as far as the climbing goes.
I think a rider from KRT was trying to pull back the breakaway, but no one was hanging onto the wheel, so I kept doing a few digs just to keep everyone on their toes, and then when we got to those climbing sections, especially on the forward KOM on Titans Grove, Vang definitely had me on the limit there.
Yeah, and I could, yesterday with the race, it was obviously he was obviously the climber as well over the Volcano KOM. So Morton Vang always one to be watching out for from the KR team. But it was a solid sprint there. It did look like last thing within the sprint when you guys gave that kick to the line, it looked like he was trying to egg something out of you. I think he is definitely more of a climber, and you were able to walk away with that one. And he changes up with the power ups too. That's one other thing with being a test labs race. Did you notice anything different? What are you thinking of the power ups? I think first of all, power ups. Did you notice anything different with the drafting or any way that the game was interacting too?
With the power ups, I think. Well, personally, I got mostly feathers and then one draft for the finish. So I'm not really sure what other power ups were on, but then in terms of the draft, it felt like there wasn't much draft at all. To be fair.
Yeah, and that's actually what I believe some of the changes were aimed towards was there being not much. I'm not sure if that was actually the aim of it, but I think that might have been the outcome or the feeling of the race. Now, with the racers definitely this week, just so everybody knows, for the test labs, we're going probably about the same speed as they usually would in most Zwift rides or races, but the drafting was manipulated a little bit out there today. We'll have to take a look at that, though, guys. Next week, we're going to see you back. Do you like the timing? Wednesdays, a little bit later. It's an early morning, I think, for you there in the lands down under, though, Alex.
Yeah, it definitely suits me better than the previous time slot. I mean, today's race is 20 past 7 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, that suits me better probably than the 6 a.m. that it was normally.
Yeah, a little bit better for sure. So, well, we hope to see the Canyon team out there next week for sure. Solid result there, Alex, for the test labs out there today. We'll take all the feedback. Make sure if you guys do have any feedback, head on over to the Zwift forums and leave it on the race number 4, as we definitely want to get as much feedback as we possibly can. We hope to see the rest of the Canyon team out there as well, as it's always good to see you guys out there hammering away and watching the team tactics, as that's what we're looking to aim at with these test labs. Nice job out there, though, today, Alex.
Cool. Thank you.
No worries. Cheers, Alex. All right, so I'm back in with Casey Shum, and I am seeing from Dafford Williams that he said he got 3 times Power Up XP in a row. Those were supposed to be turned off, I believe, so we'll have to take a look and see if we can do something about that. I felt like it was easier to get dropped out of the pack if you back off too much. Normally, you get pulled along more. Now, I'm wondering, okay, Russell, I'm wondering if, and I think good, Russell, that tells us that you guys are like seeing exactly what was going on actually. And we are looking for the blind tests out there, obviously, so you guys don't know what's happening, but if you're able to pick up on it, that's a good thing. So Bachelor, nice job and good call out there. I'm wondering if perhaps, though, that is going to help out with the way that the pack behaves. And that's kind of what we're aiming at a lot of times, is making sure that it doesn't get too much of a benefit. And I have a feeling, Casey, maybe the aim here is that those way in the back of the pack are not getting quite as much of a pull forward.
I like to see this comment, and I know as a racer, you're frustrated, right? You got to work a little harder to stay on the back of the pack, but I think it could end up causing a better racing scenario, because the people in the pack are having to work a little harder. You're maybe not able to rest quite as much, so maybe the pack's not able to. The pack's going to back off a little bit. The guys aren't going to rest in the pack and then go to the front and pull harder. It may slow down the pack a little bit, which allows that person that breaks away off the front to get away a little bit more. But yeah, definitely good feedback, and it makes sense, I think, for what we were seeing.
Yeah, and Jonathan Levi. So this might be why we saw Jonathan struggling out there. He did 100 miles an hour before. I think he jumped in with the vegan cyclist ride. Make sure to check those out. They're going on every month. Let's take a quick look here at the results one more time before we do go. Make sure to head on over to, we want all the feedback that you can bring. Head on over to the Zwift forums. Leave the feedback. Let us know how it was, what you thought of it, how it played out, how it made changes. Here's the A's race. The B category race as well. The C, Russell Batchelor here, Harry Mustard there, it looks like, as well as get to the Choppa, Stephen Carson there, and then fifth place going to Gordon Jackson. We are looking at the C category, and I do believe there were some upgrades, and that's why it has been updated like this. Julian Biger, looks like Russell Brooks, and then Martin Carew. It's going to be Marco Shorts, Simon Kay, Craig Curtis, and then Sam Bird coming in for seventh. I do not have any updates on the results for the D category. It may be because a lot of them did get an upgrade, perhaps, or maybe we did not have any finishes in the D category. Make sure to tell your friends, though. Let them know that we are out here for the test labs every week. That's going to be it from me. Casey, thanks a lot for jumping in with the broadcast. Appreciate it as always. And again, go follow CS_tricks over on Twitch for more streams from Casey. Casey, hope to see you out there soon.
All right. Thanks, Nathan. I appreciate the invite. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. All right, guys, that's going to be it from me. Make sure to hit that follow button wherever you guys are watching, Twitch, YouTube, Mixer, or over on Facebook, and turn on the notification bell so that you know anytime that we do go live. If you do turn on your notifications, you can get a little update on your mobile app. We'll be back 4 a.m. my time. That is going to be 7 p.m. AEST for the chop race, and me and Pat Shaw will be broadcasting that. That's going to be what's up next on Zwift Community Live. So if you do want to be a part of the chop racing category, handicap racing out on Zwift. So it's going to be the A category versus the B category, the C category, and the D category. But each one of the categories have a staggered start. D's go first, C's come up second, B's, and then A's. We're also talking about having a European and U.S. chop race. Let us know if you'd be interested in doing that. We might start having that event as well, as it's a very popular event that we do have down in Australia and focused on that Australian market. We've had a little bit of feedback with it, and I think that it might be a big race in the U.S. and European time zones for racing as well. So if we do want that broadcast, let us know, and we'll try and get on that. Thanks, everybody, as always, for tuning in. And let's go ahead and do we want some Milo out here today? Milo actually during the broadcast ran in today. You guys wouldn't know it, but we had a little bit of Milo trying to come into the lava today. But thanks everybody for tuning in, and as always, right on.